Beneficiaries. There are lots of different ways you can name or designate beneficiaries. So let's talk about some of those. First of all, you can name individuals. You can name your spouse. You can name your children. You can name a relative. You can name whoever you want. If you are the owner of the policy, you get to name the beneficiary. Individual designations are very, very typical. Another way that you can name beneficiaries is by class. Let me give you an example of what a class is. Remember, class simply means a group of some people. Easy one that a lot of people use is they will list all my children equally. And some people will put that beneficiary designation on a policy. They may only have one child at the time. But by listing it as all my children equally, that's the class, all their children. So if they have one child, 2 children, 20 children, they're all going to be paid the exact same amount equally. So that's a class designation for beneficiary. Then you have minors. You can leave a death benefit to a minor child, but the child can't directly accept the death benefit because they're a minor. And by law, they're not a person yet. You are not a person until you reach your age of majority from a legal standpoint. So if you do want to leave the money to your children or child and they are not of age yet, they haven't reached their age of majority in your state, then you would have to set up a trust, name a trustee who would be responsible for accepting the money into the trust on behalf of the child, and then manage the money for the child until the child reaches majority, and however you had it set up for the monies to then be dispensed out to the child. So remember, minor children can never directly receive death benefit proceeds. You can leave it to your estate. Basically, if you own an insurance policy directly, it says your name, and it says that you are the owner and the insured on the policy. Well, then it is an asset that is owned by you at the time of your death. So it becomes part of your estate, because all the word estate really means is it's all of your assets that have your name on it when you die, and the policy has your name on it. So it could be done that way. And then also you can set up trusts that would be the actual beneficiary. So the proceeds would pay into the trust. And then generally at that point, there are instructions that were created when the trust was created as to what to do with those proceeds that have now been paid to that trust. So it's just kind of an extra step. And by having the money go into the trust, oftentimes the trust is the owner of the policy as well, and it would keep it from being an asset in your estate. It's especially useful, for example, if you have a very, very large amount of assets and you're trying to not have all your assets owned by yourself directly because of estate taxes and things like that, and inheritance tax that the children might have to pay. So again, trust can be very, very useful as a beneficiary on a policy. Primary and contingent beneficiary. There are a couple of different levels, if you will, to naming beneficiaries. A lot of people just list one, and that would be the primary beneficiary. So if I were to die, for example, I would have somebody listed as my primary beneficiary. That's the first person the insurance company is going to go to. If that person is still alive, I've passed away, they're listed as my primary beneficiary, they would receive the death benefit, federal income tax free, paid to them because they are listed as the primary beneficiary. The second level, if you want to name more than one, maybe you want that primary first, and then if for some reason they can't find that person or the person predeceases me, they would look at the second level, which is called the contingent, or second level, if you would, beneficiary. So they would check and see, okay, who are the persons or person listed here? And then they would pay out the proceeds to the contingent beneficiary if they can't find, or if the primary beneficiary has died before the insured died. This is an area that you as an agent always want to be sure that you are current on with your clients. You want to remind them, every year, hey, let's talk about beneficiaries. Do you need to make any changes? If people get married, if people get divorced, if people have children, could all be reasons why they might want to change or add to their beneficiary designation. So make sure that you're always, current with things for your clients so that the proper beneficiaries are listed in the proper order. So primary is first, the second level is contingent. There are different ways that you can label a beneficiary designation. One is an irrevocable designation, and another is a revocable. I would say probably more than likely the majority of beneficiary designations are usually revocable or revocable, meaning you can change them at any time if you're the owner of the policy. But occasionally, especially as part of estate planning in certain situations, you might want to list the beneficiary as irrevocable or irrevocable, meaning it's permanent and it cannot be changed. Because if you changed it, then all of the planning work that you've done might not happen. So remember the two. Revocable can be changed at any time by the owner. Irrevocable is typically permanent and cannot be changed.